The War with Grandpa, read aloud by Mrs. Carter. Chapter 13. A light in the attic. Guerrilla warfare. Hiding behind rocks and trees, wearing a mask. I was lying up in my bed and thinking about what Steve had said. It seemed crazy to me, and yet it made sense, too. I was certainly trapped. My family had taken my room away and hadn't given me a chance to fight back. Then I began to think about the people who fought in the Revolutionary days. Who were they fighting? The king. And the king was kind of a father to them, or maybe even a grandfather. He was certainly the biggest big shot of 1776, that's for sure. And yet they fought for their rights. They took a chance and stood their ground at Lexington and Concord and fired the shot heard round the world. But you don't shoot at your grandfather. Not in my family, anyway. It was hopeless. But then I got a funny thought. And still another one. And the whole idea of what I could do became clear to me. Chapter 14. War is declared. I scouted around and when nobody was looking, sneaked down to my dad's office in the basement. It was a mess. There were 3 lights in the ceiling, but only one of them worked. Dad had put down the floor himself and some of the tiles were loose. There was a sink in the corner near the bathroom, but it didn't work and nobody knew how to fix it. Lucky for me, all I wanted was to use Dad's typewriter, and that was working. When you start a war, you have to send the enemy a note or something like that, telling them what you want and why you want it. I had to let Grandpa know why I was about to go to war with him. And I really didn't want to sign my name to the note or even have it in my handwriting, because if my parents got a hold of it, that would be the end of the war, and the end of me, probably. I stuck a piece of my dad's scrap paper in his typewriter and began. Here's what I typed. Declaration of war. You have stolen something that belongs to me. You have taken my room and I want it back. This is a warning. You have 24 hours to give me back what is mine, or else war will begin. I signed it this way. The Secret Warrior. I thought that was pretty good. The note sounded hard and tough, like I really meant business. To tell the truth, I was so nervous my hands were shaking. And then I thought Grandpa would certainly show it to Mom and Dad, so I put a P.S. at the bottom. P.S. This war is between you and me. Don't tell my parents or I'll never talk to you again. Well, I thought, if you're going to start a war, this note was a good way to begin. Now the question was, what should I do with it? I thought about that for a long time. About 10 minutes anyway. I wanted to put it someplace where Grandpa could find it when he was alone. I sure didn't want anyone else in the family to see it. That meant I had to put it in Grandpa's room. My room, really. Until he stole it. And I had to sneak it in there sometime when my mom wasn't coming up there to clean. I waited until after dinner. All the time I had that note folded up and tucked into my pants pocket, which was practically the whole day. I was like a shivery rabbit. Just feeling that piece of paper crinkling in my pocket made me very nervous. I sneaked upstairs when Grandpa sat down in front of the TV in the living room, which was where he was almost every night now. I went into Grandpa's room and closed the door quietly behind me. Then I looked around. On top of the dresser, Grandpa had a photograph of Grandma in his old silver frame. Next to it was his hairbrush and comb. Then the door opened suddenly and I almost jumped out of my skin. Hi, Pete, Jenny said. What are you doing? Nothing, I said real fast. My voice was so high and squeaky it sounded funny in my ears. Jenny gave me a strange look. Did I frighten you? She asked. No, you didn't frighten me, I lied. You look funny, she said, then shrugged. You want to play casino? Mom and Dad are busy and Grandpa is too tired. That was just like Jenny. Here I was about to start a war, and she wanted to play games. No, I don't want to play casino, I said. Or any other stupid game. Why don't you go downstairs and watch TV with Grandpa, or read a book, or go practice ballet, or do anything instead of coming up here and bothering me? She looked at me for a long minute. Weird, she said. Totally weird. Then she walked out of the room. If this is how war is, I thought, I wouldn't make a very good soldier. I took the folded note from my pocket, unfolded it, and stuck it under Grandpa's bedspread and on top of his pillow. He'd have to be blind not to see it. So he would surely read it tonight, and then the war between us would start. I felt nervous about it, but not too much. Whatever was going to happen, I was ready for. Then I went upstairs to my stinky room and threw a tennis ball against the wall for about 40 million times.